Hey, I'm Chey, and I'm a little bit more excited than usual. Ready? Rollin'. What am I excited about? Nothing in particular. Just life. But that in and of itself is kinda odd for me. Not that I hate my life or anything like that, but usually I operate on just a casual existence, because thanks to anxiety, imposter syndrome, and you know, a whole recipe, a whole slew of all that good cooking mental health bad stew, I usually just try to operate at a base level of, yeah, cool, I guess. But I don't know, lately I've been more excited. I kind of talked about this in another clip that I filmed for a vlog, which will be up later this month. But I feel like this year is moving too fast in comparison to things that I want to accomplish. Progress that I feel I'm making in my life, whether it's personal goals, professional goals. I just have so many things that I want to do and so many things that I'm excited to try and do, that I hope to make real, that I hope happens and I'm gonna try and make happen. But I often impose these crazy deadlines on myself, this crazy rush to myself to try and get it all done, and it's just not realistic. And it's not fair to put that kind of pressure on myself. And it's just gonna make me end up hating something that I originally loved and was excited to do. It's gonna turn it into a kind of assignment, and I'm gonna dread it, and I don't want that. So I'm trying to be better about that. The main thing in particular I'm talking about is YouTube. I don't know, I've just been thinking about YouTube lately, and making stuff on YouTube. YouTube has always been very close to my heart, and I've been wanting to make a video talking about my feelings on YouTube for a while, and I'm trying to teach myself that there's rarely a perfect time for a talkie video like this. And even if there was, I'd rather just talk about it when I feel like talking about it and upload it and be genuine about it, rather than try and adhere myself to some sort of schedule. And it's something that's been on my mind lately, so why not talk about it now? A lot of this discussion is probably for a later video. I'll just discuss the most relevant parts that have been on my mind lately. I have been watching YouTube since 2007. I've known that I've wanted to make YouTube videos since probably 2010. I made videos with our own cameras, our own camcorders, way before that. But actually uploading videos onto the internet, creating skits, creating commentaries, creating gameplay videos, I'd say that probably started happening around 2010. And it has just had its hooks in me ever since. And unsurprisingly, like a lot of kids growing up, I looked at it as, I would love for that to become my job one day. I would love for that to be my career. However, having grown up on YouTube like I have, I know that that is extremely hard to do, especially back then. And it's not something that I would feel comfortable placing my bets on, but it's something worth striving for if you want to go for it. At least that's how I've grown to feel. I definitely didn't feel that ambivalent about it when I was younger. But now that I'm older and I've, seen the adpocalypse, I've seen people come and go, that's how I feel now. I think I started feeling that way in high school, because in high school, I was like, I want to actually start making videos. Like, I felt comfortable enough in myself to actually start doing it, and I had ideas for things that I wanted to do. And I had a couple YouTube channels by then. And then I got to college, and I actually did start making some videos. Not on this channel, it's on another channel. If you can find it, props to you. It's not deleted, it's still out there in the ether. But I started making videos, and this is a whole story for another time, but it was actually because of those videos that I got really, really into Beartooth. And that changed my life. TLDR, I knew about Beartooth, I liked Beartooth, but I wasn't really a fan of them, I didn't follow them. And the videos I was making at the time were covering music news, like what bands are recording new albums, that kind of thing, what tours are going on. And I read a tweet from Caleb Shomo as part of like my news about his recording of Disease, and I was like, oh, that just got released, like let me go check it out. Obsessed. And here I am. My life ultimately changed from that moment. Anyway, I stopped making those videos because they weren't up to what I wanted to make. Also, I was busy, with college, because I didn't look at YouTube as a viable career option. I looked at it as, you know what? If it happens, it'll happen, but I'm planning on having a real job, or at least a stable job. Any job that earns you income, any job that you do and you love, is a real job. Don't come in here with that elitist corporate BS. But I'm telling you my thought process while I was younger. I speak like I'm 87, this was just a few years ago. But I did. I looked at YouTube as, if it takes off, that's cool, but I'm going to put more energy into a stable job, as in graduating college and getting a career, possibly in government or wherever. I felt that was the most realistic path. But honestly, I wasn't happy. I wanted to keep making YouTube videos. I am just a creative person, and I make stuff all the time. Even when I don't want to be, even when I'm supposed to be doing something else, I'm still just making things in my head. And that was what I wanted to be doing. But I always found excuses as to why I couldn't make the things that I wanted to make. I didn't have a good enough camera. I was too overweight. I wasn't confident enough in myself. I didn't have any interesting video ideas. Now, some of those things are valid concerns, but other things, like not good enough camera, but that's how I felt at the time. What changed? Okay, what changed? My senior year, which was the pandemic years, 2020 to 2021, unsurprisingly, I had a breakdown. A couple months out from graduation, this was also the year of Unus Annus. So while I was trapped in my dorm room trying to write 2 theses, that's right, count them, 1, 2, 2 theses, also working several remote jobs for work study, and still going to class, and dealing with the pandemic, and about to graduate, and panicking to look for a job, I just broke. And it was really... Oh, and also I got COVID in October of that year, so that was fun. It just, I don't know. I knew that I was unhappy, but I knew that, I guess what I could call my test period of being in college to try new things, to really experiment, was coming to an end. Because I don't come from a family that could afford to put me up in, like, you know, a New York apartment while I try to figure out my life, like a lot of my Georgetown colleagues. That's right, I'm calling you out. I felt that I needed to find a job and I needed to have income immediately. Doesn't matter what I wanted. I needed to have income. I needed stability. And it was just creating this immense, intense pressure on me. And after talking to my mom, I mean my parents, but my mom especially, she was like, no, now is the time for you to take the time to figure out what you want to do and how you want to do it. You don't want to choose something and then 10 years later totally regret never trying that thing. Because if you try it now and it doesn't work out, yeah, you've got, you know, many, many years ahead of you to try something else. You don't want to stick yourself in something and get stuck too early and then use those years you could have been trying being stuck. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I think it does. And I was like, well, I really want to try audio engineering. Like, I love music. I love being in the studio. I had started talking to Caleb Shomo and Ashi on streams and Discords, and Neil Westfall. Shout out Neil. Love you, Neil. Shout out to all those guys. I love all those dudes. So important to me. Also so very kind to me. And I will always be infinitely grateful for their kindness. And my mom was like, yeah, go for it. Like, do what you want to do. Like, we'll support you, you know, either way as much as we can. And so then I went into audio engineering. But YouTube still lingered in the back of my mind. It was something that was haunting me because it's just something that I've always wanted to do, but I didn't know how I wanted to do it. And that is something that is like my ultimate downfall in a lot of elements of my life. Something that I didn't have an explanation for until, again, my senior year of college when I got diagnosed with severe ADHD. And actually, part of my diagnosis process, or my pre-diagnosis, was talking to my therapist. One good thing Georgetown did was pay for free telehealth therapy for, I think it was like 10 sessions for all the on-campus students during the pandemic. So that was cool of them. Literally, like, it was the end of the first session and he was like, please take this pre-diagnosis for ADHD. He's like, because I think that you probably have it, like, severely. Turns out, I do. But part of the thing that made him think that was me telling him I don't like to do things if I don't know how to do them, if I've never done them before, if I have no frame of reference how to do them or how they should be done. Like, I can't picture it in my mind. And it turns out that's a thing that's kind of unique to ADHD and neurodivergency. Basically, normal people, even if they've never made a peanut butter sandwich before, if you tell them how to make a peanut butter sandwich, they can picture it in their mind and then deconstruct it and they can figure out how to make it. Whereas someone like me, if I had never made a peanut butter sandwich before and you told me make one, I could kind of see it in my head, but I'm like, I don't know where to start. Bread? Like, what's in it? How much of that stuff do I need? Like, I start having all these questions and all this process, and it's just... It's a nightmare. It's even more a nightmare when it comes to non-tangible things like how to start doing YouTube. Because there's no one right way to start doing YouTube, or a general thing like that. I couldn't figure out a step-by-step structure for myself to follow, and so I just never followed through on it. Because, like I said, mainly because I created these high standards for myself, like not having a good enough camera, not being confident enough in myself. And it just killed me inside because I knew that I wanted to do it. To at least try it, because I love it so much. Most of my screen time probably in my life has been spent watching YouTube. I just love the process of making and creating. and watching something come to life as you make it and how it all comes together in the end. So what changed things? That's right, wrap it back around, Chey, get to the point. Unus Annus. I can make a whole nother video on this itself too, but if you've seen any of my videos, you probably know my immense love for Markiplier. Markiplier is my favorite YouTuber, has been for many, many, many years. Him and PewDiePie were among two of the first YouTubers I ever watched and like subbed to. He's just someone that's very close to my heart. I admire a ton about him and always have, especially his work ethic and just his attitude in general. He is a person that really inspired me to try YouTube. I won't go out and say that Mark gave me the impression that like I can make YouTube my job and like my career and that, you know, I'd become like the next Mr. Beast. Nothing like that. It was more like he inspired me just to try it. Like, try it, you know, see what happens. Why not? And I've even said this, but the whole thing of Unus Annus was an inspiration for my series, Why Not? Because, why not? Life's too short to not do things. Why not try? But something that Mark has always said that didn't really hit me until I watched Unus Annus. Obviously, a lot of people tend to ask him, like, how do I start YouTube? What do I need to get started? What do I need to do? And his answer is always, just start doing it. And I heard it, but it didn't really sink in, because in my head, like I said, that's too vague to me. I'm like, what do you mean just do it? Don't, like, I have to have, you know, this kind of equipment, and this kind of backdrop, and this kind of speech, and this kind of editing skills, all that stuff. But I think I was finally in a place to accept that, and more so understand it the way that he meant it during my senior year when everything was, like, crashing down around me. And I don't know, I just really heard it, just go for it, just try it. He even had a quote. I was watching his live stream, I will never forget this, during the pandemic, stuck in my dorm room. I couldn't sleep, it was like close to midnight, and he had a stream and I just had it on while I was doing stuff, and he said something that I will never forget. The thing is, you just don't know. You have no idea. What does failing mean in the circumstance? When it comes to, like, starting a YouTube channel, what's failure? You're making things. Who are you failing? The only person that you fail is yourself if you don't try, because yours is the only opinion that matters. Because if you didn't do it at all, that's failure too. You can't learn anything from your failure of never doing it in the first place. That, and thinking about what he said with Unus Annus, I was like, you know what? The world's on fire. We might as well try it. What's the worst that's gonna happen? I think I had tricked myself into thinking of it too much as an alternative career to a hopeful career that would help me escape from the prospects of a career I knew that I didn't really want, like in government or in history. Even though I didn't admit this to myself, I stopped telling myself that I could just do it for fun and see where it leads, without, you know, any high expectations. That I can just create stuff to create without having monetary expectations for it. Or monetary pressures, I guess. But yeah, just, I don't know. The just do it finally sank in for me, and even more than that, which he also often says, is just make it the best that you can. And I would say that is the thing that I ultimately took to heart, because I knew I didn't have the prettiest backdrop. I film on a freaking iPhone 6. I have a Canon T7, which I am so blessed and happy to have, but the microphone sucks on it. Like with voice isolation and stuff like that. So it's good for shots, but it's not good for long-term filming, because it also shuts off after 10 minutes of filming. Like, what? But I film on a friggin' iPhone 6. And also, for the longest time, I used Sony Vegas editing software. Not the newer version, the very, very old version. That is where I first learned my editing chops. Bless you, Sony Vegas. But that summer after I graduated, and I knew I was going to Blackbird to start class to become an audio engineer, I was like, you know what, at the same time I'm trying this, I'm also gonna try doing YouTube, because why not? What have I got to lose at this point? And I just kept remembering Mark saying, just make it, and make it the best that you can. I'm not shooting for M. Night Shyamalan or James Cameron production value here. I just want to make things that I want to make, and you know what? Screw it. I literally said that to myself. I remember that going, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna make stuff. Whatever I feel like making, I'm just gonna make it. And that is the policy that I have been trying to stick to, and I'd say I've been sticking to it pretty well. I'm happy with everything that I've made on YouTube so far. I talked about this in my yearly wrap-up, goals wrap-up video at the beginning of this year, end of last year, but every video that I have put up so far on this channel, I'm proud of. They may not have been the perfect way I would have liked for the video to be made, but if it's on the channel, I'm proud of it. I'm happy with it. I never want to put up anything that I am not happy about, that I'm not proud of. And like I said, it's not $1 million production value or anything like that, but I'm having fun, and I love it, and I think that's ultimately what matters. That being said, I'm still learning a lot. I am lucky enough to be in a place with people that allow me to do this while still working a job to make money. And I am so much happier now that I don't have the monetary expectations around this. Now I'm back to my original mindset that, you know what, if this takes off and this becomes my job, cool. But I'm not going to put the pressure on it to become that. I'm just going to keep this as something that I love to do because I love to do it. And I'm just so excited and creatively inspired for all the things that I want to make, all the things I'm planning on making, all the things in the works that I get to do and share with y'all. Because that's all I've ever wanted to do, was just make things. And now I'm lucky enough to get to do that. So anyway, my phone is dying. I need to go home. Shout out to you if you stayed through this entire video. I'm very thankful for you. Shout out to Markiplier for being a huge inspiration, not only to me, but a bunch of other people. If for some reason you've never watched Markiplier, I recommend you should. He's more than just screamy guy with red hair who plays Five Nights at Freddy's. In Space with Markiplier, I think, is one of the most creatively inspiring things I have ever seen in my life. But anyway, now I'm rambling. Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you ain't heard it from anyone else today, I love you. Love and peace.